Hey y'all, and welcome to the 62nd episode of the Yarn Junkie podcast. My name is Amber. I'm coming to you from my home in Texas, where I live with my husband, our 2 daughters, 3 dogs, and this is a knitting podcast. So I hope that you've been well. It's been about 5 weeks since my last episode, so I didn't mean to take that much of a hiatus, but with summer ending and the girls going back to school, we were in the middle of a move the last time I spoke to you. We are all moved into the remodel house now. There's still like 1 or 2 things over at the rental that we need to get. But yeah, so this is my living room. I wanted to point out my shelf here was actually part of the flooring that was here in this house before we redid it. So the house is, I don't know when it was built. Is that horrible? But we took it down to the studs and floor joists. Like, we completely gutted this house and redid everything. And when we pulled up the linoleum flooring, this wooden flooring was beneath it. So we salvaged what we could. We created an island in the kitchen with some of it, and then we did 2 shelves in our living room. And so this one actually pushes in, and there's storage behind, and then also our utility closet is in there too. And the kids and anybody that comes over just thinks that's the neatest little feature, is that we have this secret shelf. But I won't go too much into the remodel house. I do want to show y'all the penny floor that I did eventually. It was a pin fell, because I'm not even going to go there right now. I have enough to show y'all without getting into all the house construction. So yeah, we're just going to move right along. I'm going to show you guys my finished objects, my whips, and of course, it's been 5 weeks, so I have acquisitions. But I'm just peeking down at my notes. I did write a little bit of notes. Everything has been insane. So first I'll show you my finished objects. Oh, I forgot to grab one. I'll be right back. Now I'm going to be winded from going into the bedroom and digging this out, because little activity like that just gets me so out of breath. If you are not aware, I'm currently 23 weeks pregnant today. So today is August 30th, Wednesday, August 30th, and I am 23 weeks pregnant. So more than halfway there. I'm so excited. We're having another girl. We did find that out at my anatomy scan, and the girls are so excited. Like, they really wanted another sister. My husband's like, he is a great girl dad, but I think every man wants a son to carry on his name. I think that's typical. But this I finished since the last time we spoke. It's the baby vertebrae pattern. I don't have the pattern with me, so I can't tell you who it's by, because I almost never pay attention to that, which makes me a horrible podcaster. But I do have a project page on this if you go and look. And the yarn that I used is, the gray was Madeline Tosh Twist Light, which is a merino nylon base. And then the ribbing, I used Bohemia Fibers, and it doesn't have a colorway name. It's just, she's really well known for taking a photo that you take, or a picture that you're inspired by online, and dyeing yarn after it. So that's what this was, and it's my own personal photo of sunset on the lake, so I thought that would be perfect to knit into a baby cardigan. I actually knit this into my fade as well as a pair of socks, and I still have leftovers, so it went quite a ways. And I've already washed and blocked it. It smells so good. And I've had it in the baby's little box. I'm keeping all of her stuff in. I don't plan to get a ton for her, just because it's my 3rd, and I'm a minimalist, and babies don't need a lot of stuff. They just really don't. I'm going to get some diapers, a cloth diaper. I'll get diapers. I've gotten a couple of baby wraps, like baby carriers. I did that quite a bit with my 2nd child. She'll need a car seat. But other than that, we co-sleep. I might get a little changing mat to lay her on, but I plan to change her like on the couch. Only the mat, just in case, it's an especially messy diaper. yeah, I don't need a lot of stuff. And I'm not knocking anybody that gets all the stuff. I mean, it's your baby. Do you. I'm amazed that, you know, all the stuff that I have for baby right now really fits in a box. I will get one of those boppy pillow things because I use I used that a ton with both of my older daughters because I breastfed and it was just really convenient to have something to prop the baby up on. And I'll likely get a bouncer chair too, just so I can shower and have somewhere to put the baby. That's neither here nor there. Y'all aren't here to hear about baby stuff. Y'all are here to hear about knitting. So I'm gonna have to get up again and grab the book. I knit this hat. So this is actually an acquisition since the last time we spoke, but the yarn I actually got for another project I'll show you. And this is Madeline Tosh DK Twist in colorway Daffodil. So it's a DK yarn, but I would call it a light worsted as well. I love this colorway. I have a fingering weight quantity, sweater's quantity of this same colorway. It's seriously one of my favorite colors. Just this really autumnal golden color. So this is a hat that I knit. This is the second time I've actually knit this hat. And again, it's on my Ravelry project page. I can be found as Yarn Junkie 6 on Ravelry. And it came out of this book that I got at the library. Knitted Beanies and Slouchy Hats by Diane Service. And the hat is called the Vermont Foliage Hat. So here's a picture of it. And it's just a really simple leaf motif. It's lace, but I mean, it's knits and pearls and knit two togethers and slip knits. It's so simple, and I really enjoyed it the first time I made it and the second time as well. So I will go ahead and put it on just so you can see what it looks like. So you could wear it in more of a hipster slouchy fashion with it, you know, kind of pulled down, or, you know, typical beanie style, which I'll probably wear it both ways, honestly. It's just nice for fall, which everyone keeps saying, and I know I'm a knitter, and sure, I'm excited about fall, but long live summer. I love summer. I live in Texas where it's hot. This has actually been a really mild summer for Texas. I don't think that we've had more than a dozen days over 100 degrees, which is insane. But I'm not ready for summer to end. I was really quite sad when my girls started back to school, and you know, it's typical. But speaking of back to school, I will show you guys, those are both my FOs, and then I have some hose. So I have been working on back to school socks for both of my daughters. One started first grade, Prudence, who's 6, and then Atrella is now officially in junior high, and she just went into the 6th grade. So at our school, it changed last year where 6th grade is now considered part of junior high. But here's Prudence's sock. I let them go through my stash and pick yarn for back to school socks. And of course, you know, the ends aren't woven in. But this colorway, this is Knit Picks Felici in colorway Countess, which is just a really beautiful purple colors. And I've totally lost my sock mojo, to be honest. Like, I have probably 6 half finished objects, hose. I have 6 socks that are waiting on their mates. We'll say it that way. And so I'm kind of over stockinette stitch, as I said, when I was working on a cardigan a couple of weeks ago. So I did a 3x1 knit 3, purl 1 every other row, a rib on this. And I did it on the back, but not the foot, of course. And then on Atrella's, she picked Knit Picks Felici in colorway Chickadee. And on her sock, I did knit 3, slip 1 when I did the color changes. So on these 2 color changes, I just did it for 1 row, where I did the knit 3, slip 1 for 1 row. and I didn't like how you could barely see what I was doing. So on these down here, I started to do it for 2 rows. So for 2 rows, when the color changed, I would knit 3, slip 1, and then just continue on. And again, a Fish Lips Kiss heel. I have my Sucra Sucra miniature deviled egg charm. And I actually have a really sad story. So I put all of this in my Red Riding Hood wolf bag. So you see him, he's thinking everything looks so tasty with his salt and pepper shaker. My chickens were massacred, I think since the last time we spoke. And I had 4 of the little Japanese Bantam chickens and 2 Rhode Island red chickens. And right before we moved over here, they just all got murdered. So I've never had them all get wiped out before like that. I've had, 1 or 2 die, or a couple of them get eaten by predators. But this time, all 6 of them. It was insane. So all that was left was feathers scattered throughout the yard. And I originally thought it was coyotes, because I've known coyotes to come into our yard and eat our chickens before. And the reason I knew it was them is because it had rained recently and I saw tracks. We've also had a hawk get one of our chickens. Yeah, so, when you have the farm life, the rural life, you're going to have animals come into your yard and eat things. It's just nature. But on one of our trips back and forth between the houses, moving stuff, we're about 3 to 5 miles from our rental and our remodel. We saw a bobcat cross the road, like maybe half a mile from the rental house where the chickens were. And so now I'm thinking, based on the fact that all of the chickens were massacred, because coyotes are they're not going to eat everything. They just eat until they're full and then they go on. Whereas a cat is an opportunistic eater, and they're going to just gorge themselves because they don't know when they're going to find their next meal. So it could have been the bobcat, the way the coop was broken into, one end of it. And we predator-proofed our chicken coop. It's not like we were terrible chicken owners, though y'all probably think that because I just said we have had a lot of loss. But it was, stapled down. The chicken wire was stapled down to some wood, and it was buried down in the ground. But it was peeled up on one side to where it was just like completely pulled up, and then, so something could slip in and out. And it could have been coyotes, it could have been the bobcat. Who knows? But again, sorry for that tangent. I was just quite sad. And so knitting on this chickadee yarn with my wolf bag was kind of needed. And I also knit these 2 little baby socks. I can't remember if I showed you all these. And of course, I have 2 socks that don't match, because who has time to knit matching socks? This pattern is the Rock Baby Sock, and I believe I found it on Jimmy Beans. And it's a free pattern, so I'm not giving anything away, but it's a 2x2 rib for 2.5 inches, and then a tiny little heel flap and gusset. And I did knit the foot a bit longer because I don't have newborn size babies. I have big babies. And then this one is yarn that my mom had actually picked when she was still alive. If you don't know, my mom actually passed away December 2015, and now my new baby is going to be born in December 2017. So I thought, how perfect, since my mom doesn't get to know this baby, to knit her socks with the yarn that my mom picked for me to knit her socks that I never got around to before she passed away. But this is the Madeline Tosh Twist Light in colorway Cotopaxi. I really love that colorway, and it's perfect for a winter baby, I think. And then this one is Molly of Homespun House's yarn, one of her Tim Burton Club colorways. And I can't remember the colorway name, but I don't think it matters because she doesn't repeat club colorways. I think that's true. But yeah, it's just 2 little baby socks. I'll knit their pairs eventually. I'm not in any real big hurry to knit socks. I don't know what's wrong with me lately. I have worked a little bit on my find your fade, pull over. So I started this before I knew I was pregnant. And then once I found out I was pregnant, I was just like, well, this isn't going to fit me. I have no desire to knit something that's not going to fit me. So I think I was around here the last time I showed you guys, and I've knit a couple more inches. And I'm doing 3 colors in my fade, but I'm trying to knit the whole sweater, not the crop version. And since I've seen you guys last, I did get a new charm from Sucra Miniatures. It's a lobster roll. So my husband and daughter just took a trip to Maine, and I was originally going to go, but with the moving stress and everything else that I've been dealing with, the last thing that I wanted to do was fly up to Maine. And it was a fun trip for them, and I'm glad that they got to do it. I'm not a very good traveler in the best of times, and so pregnant, everything kind of annoys me even more. And I just didn't want to go and risk like getting a kid that sits behind me and kicks my seat the entire plane ride, or like they missed their plane the first time, so they had to buy new plane tickets, and then there was an issue with the rental car that they got. It's just, travel is not my favorite. I love going new places and meeting new people, but the act of getting there, yeah. I set this one out, but I did order myself a lobster roll, and when he came back from Maine, I showed it to him, and he was like, is that a lobster roll? It is indeed. And my local yarn store where I go to knit night is hosting a signature needles trunk show. So I thought getting a pair of size 4 interchangeable needles would help me work on this more. So that's what I did. Ridiculous? Maybe a little. But I have about 2 more inches, maybe, before I start the ribbing on that. So I'm really close. And then, of course, knitting the sleeves. But since I saw you guys last time, I have been pretty monogamous, which is insane for me, on knitting the blue sand cardigan. So I showed you this yarn 5 weeks ago as an acquisition. My friend gave me a kit that she had bought for Madeline Tosh and decided she probably wasn't going to use anytime soon. And so she gifted it to me, and I got started right away on the blue sand cardigan. I have quite a bit of people knitting this in my local knit group, like they're doing it separately on one of the days I don't go. But a couple of the ladies have had problems. They have mostly knit top-up sweaters, and I've only ever knit a top-down sweater, so I found it relatively easy. But I know that some of them had complained about the saddle yoke on the shoulders. But it's just after that saddle yoke, you're doing raglan increases. It's very simple. I did a provisional cast on for the first time. That was easy, but I'm a crocheter, so I have a sleeve knit. I have the whole body knit. The pockets, that's why I bought the gold yarn. So I originally put my sleeves on this waist yarn. I just had a little tiny mini of this left over from a previous project, and I thought, I love that pop of gold. I'm gonna have to get a skein. So I looked around online, but I didn't really find the daffodil color that I wanted, and so I looked on the Ravelry DSash page, and I found a skein for pretty inexpensive. I think I spent like $18 included in shipping on that skein of yarn. So, but I don't count that as stash because, I used it right away. But I will put this on so you guys can see, and it's a cardigan, so it's going to fit me throughout my whole pregnancy, which is nice. I have a sleeve. It requires an I-cord bind off, which I really enjoyed doing. I actually had down to here knit on the sleeve, but I had this color here and the 2 darker grays put together, and it didn't provide enough contrast. So I ripped it back, and then, because this lighter gray was right here. So I ripped it back and then switched it out to be like this. Look at it, I love it. And the pockets are gonna get, so the whole bottom you I-cord bind off, and then you do the pockets together and then sew them in. So it's a little messy right now, but it won't be. Once I get it done, it'll probably be about like that. But there's my baby bump, 23-week little girl, and no sleeve on this side. But we'll get that done. And then once I get the sleeves done, you're actually supposed to knit the collar first, but I wanted to make sure I had enough of this black color for the sleeves before I knit the collar. And I think I'm going to have plenty of yarn. So that's what I have left over after the hat and the pockets of my daffodil color. And this is the little mini that I had that I was using for waste yarn. But I have more black over here because I was just finishing up the sleeve this morning. So I think I have plenty to be able to do the rest of the sleeve and then all of this together as the collar and the I-cord bind off. So that's kind of a lot of yarn. I might have to go back to the Ravelry destash page and look for some of this onyx. Another funny thing about onyx, do you see my finger? That happens every time I knit with this black yarn out of this ombre kit from Madeline Tosh. And it's Madeline Tosh DK. I showed you guys all the yarn last time it came in this kit. And one thing that I did want to show you guys. So when Tim and Etrella went to Maine, they actually flew into Boston and drove up to Maine. So they stopped in Salem and went to the Witch Museum, and Tim brought me back a pin for my field supply bag. And I felt like it just fits in so well with my other pins. We got the night bus when we went to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter back in November. This one is just one I picked up local, but I thought it looked like Hedwig. So, and then my local yarn store is West 7th Wool. So it's like my coven, my witch's coven. And then my little flying witch. I love it. I love this bag. So I am dying now. Hopefully the air is totally about to kick on and I'm going to have to turn it off. And here's another Sucre miniature that I got, the little hamburger. Because cheeseburgers. But I am sailing on this. I'm going to knit the other sleeve and then get the collar done soon. And I've been really monogamous with it, so there's that. One more whip that I've been working on. I mentioned last time that I was going to start a granny stripe blanket, even though I had no desire to knit one. Tim saw them and really wanted me to crochet, not knit, him one. So I started one and I chained, I want to say 150 stitches because I was just going to make it big enough for him. And then I decided, well, let's make it big enough for 2 people. And then as I was doing the foundation half double, or I think I did a foundation double crochet, chainless foundation double crochet. You should Google it because it makes the thing as stretchy as the rest of it. Sorry if you can hear that annoying beeping. It's one of my kids' watches that she set for toothbrushing in the summer, and it's somewhere in her room. I hear it every morning and I've been meaning to find it and I haven't yet. But this is how far along I am. After I decided I was going to make it big, I thought, let's go all out and make it big enough for my king size bed. So I did the foundation, chainless foundation double crochet for 300 stitches, I want to say. So it goes on and on and on and on, and then a little bit more. So I try to work on this every night as we're watching a movie for, like, as we go to bed. He either watches a show or we watch a movie together or something. And so I do like a row, maybe half a row. And then my 10 o'clock alarm's going off. I have music that plays throughout the day. Sorry about that. And so that's what I work on. And sometimes I get a whole row done, and sometimes I fall asleep halfway through and put it to the side. But I have all these little minis in this basket that my daughters didn't need anymore. And I just set that on my bedside table. So that is all of the whips that I've been working on. I'm going to stop it right here and grab my acquisitions right quick and show you guys what I've acquired as of late. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've gotten quite a lot lately. Since finding out I was pregnant, I really wanted to do the quilt along with Jacqueline of the Brooklyn Knit Folk podcast. She hosted a quilt along and put together this amazing tutorial on YouTube with all these information sheets, like this PDF that you can download and check out. She has these little coloring pages where you can draw out your quilt schematic and see what exactly you want to do. So I was really wanting to sew the baby a quilt, and I went and got fabric from Joann's. So I have never made a quilt before. That's not exactly true. I took 2 pieces of fabric, sewed them together, and made quilt lines on a blanket for Estrella when I was pregnant with her. That's my first daughter. And since then, I've maybe sewed her a handful of Halloween costumes. I'm just not a big sewer. My husband might be walking over here. I love that his office is actually outside of our house now. He offices in a separate building from the house. But he still comes over here all day long. What are you doing? I am doing housewife stuff. So the fabrics that I got this beautiful gray fabric. He's actually pulling out of the driveway right now. So I got this beautiful gray fabric that looks like crochet doilies almost. I really loved this one. I got this apple fabric. I kind of wanted this in the pink that they had, but Estrella really liked the blue, and I'm really hoping she helps me with it. She has a sewing machine that we bought her for her 10th birthday. She sews quite a bit, and so I'm kind of hoping she wants to help me with this, and so I went ahead and got the fabric that she liked, so she's more inclined to help me. I don't know. She also picked this because she said it looked like dragon scales or mermaid tail, which I really liked because I've been calling this baby my baby dragon because I love spicy food, love spicy food, cannot get enough. And then I got this green fabric, which goes well with the leaf on the apple. So those are the 4 colors that I plan to quilt together. And I don't know if you caught a glimpse of this. I'm not sure which version I'm going to do, whether it's going to be this one or this one. I'm not an artist, you guys. I cannot draw, okay? Just so you know. That's the apple fabric, though. And then the green, the doily, and then scales. It looks awful. But I will get all this cut out. I did get a rotary cutter and a mat and thread. I did not get the backing, the binding, or the batting yet, the 3 Bs. Because I figured, well, let me get the quilt top done and see how far I get before I go all out and order a ton of quilting supplies that I'm not going to use. And then I really couldn't pass this up. I originally wanted this for the quilt too, but the ladies at Joann discouraged it because it's a double gauze, not a quilting cotton. And since then, a couple of my quilting friends said it would have been fine. But the ladies at Joann just did say that I could just finish off the raw edges and make a little swaddle blanket with it, which I love this fabric. And I could just see a little baby swaddled up. And maybe even doing a little headband with the remnants. I got 1.5 yards of this, and I got 1 yard of each of these. So hopefully that's enough. I think it will be. But I'm excited to start that project. I'll probably start it in a week or so, just because I have more unpacking to do that I've kind of let it go to the wayside because I've moved all this stuff and I don't have very much to unpack, but just organization, and nobody wants to do that. But when I had my anatomy scan, they saw some issues with the baby. Totally freaked me out. I bawled. After leaving my anatomy scan, we had plans that evening to have a gender reveal party. And they, the doctor said, well, there's issues with the baby's kidneys, which my husband and his whole family have a hereditary kidney disease. And so I was just completely freaked out and cried all afternoon. And my husband was like, do you just want to cancel the party? I don't want you to be bummed out. And he assured me that it was fine. The doctor was not overly concerned. I'm sure it's going to be fine. Like, stop freaking out. But you don't want to hear anything other than your baby's 100% healthy when you go to the doctor. And when I didn't hear that, it just kind of shocked me. So I had to go back in for a high-risk ultrasound. The high-risk specialist did more blood work because they also saw some issues. They said the original issues that the doctor saw were fine, but needless to say, the baby's fine. So I got all my tests back. The baby's 100% healthy and completely fine. It's definitely a girl. 2 ultrasounds confirmed that. So but I did panic order some stuff because, you know, what do you do when you're waiting on news from the doctor? You try to distract yourself as much as possible. So I ordered 2 project bags. I got this one from Jenna Rose. I've been wanting to order from her for a while, and she was having a sale. She might still be having it. She is a Canadian bag maker. She screen prints all her own fabrics and sews bags from them. So I'd been coveting this fabric for a year. It's been in my Etsy favorites. It's got a dark black on the inside, this really amazing industrial zipper. I have yarn in here, but I'm not going to show you it. It's just stash yarn. But it's enough to make a fingering weight sweater and still have room left over. So it's quite a sizable bag. I love this bag. And it's got like metallic rain with the storm clouds. Perfect bad day bag, right? I also ordered from Stitch and You Bags. She had posted these lunar project bags and I didn't catch her update. So I messaged her and asked if she'd be getting more of the fabric. And she said she would gladly create a custom listing if she could get more of the fabric. And she did so, which I was without Wi-Fi. That's another reason why I haven't recorded. I was without Wi-Fi for probably over a week. It was ridiculous. I was jonesing pretty bad for my podcast and my Instagram. I was so sad. I have data on my phone, but I don't like to use it unless I need it. So I was a little late on getting this purchased, but she had created a custom listing for me. There's a little moon charm on there. And the interior is this beautiful circle fabric, and there's her tag. Stitch and You Bags. And she also includes a lavender sachet. There's a tea in here and a sweet note, like you do. And it's a sock size bag, so it's going to be perfect for all my sock whips that I need to get done. Another thing that I decided to order, I'd been wanting to try out lamb strings yarn for quite a while. Shanna is a podcast. She's the Strings and More, one half of the Strings and More podcast. She co-hosts with her friend Jamie, and they both are yarn dyers, but I've been wanting to try out Shanna's yarns for a hot minute, and I finally just broke down and ordered these 2 skeins. They just hosted a boxy along. The Hohi Locatelli created the boxy sweater, and the ladies at my knit night were just all gearing up to do the Hohi's fall knit along. I think you can do any Hohi pattern, but I really wanted to do a boxy, mostly because of Shanna's influence. I'm not gonna do this boxy for me. I'd never wanted to do it before because it's like this huge, like bat wing oversized sweater. But Shanna's alterations or modifications, it fits her really well. She's kind of slender. She's a lot shorter than I am. They always talk about how short they are, and I'm really tall, like 5'10". But you know, with her modifications, it was very form-fitting and I really liked it. But I ordered this yarn to actually knit Prudence, the little boxy. I thought this would be gorgeous on her. This is like a variegated tonal yarn. I'm definitely going to have to alternate skeins because this one's a bit more richer purple and this one has a bit more of the colored flecks in it. But I don't mind. The yarn is called Corazon. One of the ladies at my knit night said this perfectly because she's got that Spanish accent and I can't do that. But it's Tralala sock, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 463 yards. I don't mind alternating at all, and I cannot wait to cast this on. The cast on date September 1st, but I'm going to force myself to finish my blue sands and also my fade before I cast this on, because it's ridiculous. Like, I can't just keep casting things on. Like I said, I have a ton of socks right now that I need to get through too. I'll probably knit those in Socktober. But she sent her card, lamb string yarn with a little stitch marker, and this is the colorway that I ordered on the card, Clara's Own. And then her bigger card. Thank you. And she wrote me a sweet note on the back. So thank you, Shanna, for enabling me to get some awesome yarn. And there's a couple of more things that I want to show you. One thing is the Little Tailoress giveaway prize for 2,000 subscribers. Thank you so much, guys. I know that I haven't been very active on Ravelry, and I apologize for that. I will get this posted today as this uploads, so you can go to my Ravelry group, which is the Yarn Junkie podcast, and enter to win this beautiful skein of yarn. And I've kept it wrapped up, but I'll show you again just in case you've forgotten. She sent me one and then one to give away as a prize. This is Wild Ireland colorway with a mini. The yarn is 75 superwash merino, 25% nylon, and it's got this beautiful little horse. So yes, we'll definitely get that popped into the Ravelry group so y'all can try to win that, and I will announce winners on the next episode. But some more yarn that was sent to me. I participated in, I was supposed to mention it on my podcast, but I'm the world's worst friend. And Jessica Ruth Knits podcast has been hosting, or had been hosting, a charity baby drive. And the deal was, if you sent her a baby item, she would send you some yarn, because someone gifted her a ton of indie dyed yarn and she wanted to pay it forward. So I sent her a couple of the animals that I crocheted that I had set aside for a charity that I just was too lazy to find one to give them to. And I thought, oh, this is perfect. I can send her these and she can do with them what she will. And I had written a really nice note. Pregnancy brain prevented it from going into the package, that just, thanked her for her generosity, but also told her not to worry about sending me yarn because I have tons. Well, the note never made it into the package, and she sent me a ton of yarn, you guys. So I'm going to definitely pay it forward and post some of this as a giveaway. This is the dark wave fibers. It's a superwash wool nylon 75-25. It's a sport weight, 274 yards, and the colorway is Hollow Bunny. So that's just beautiful yarn. I will definitely be posting this sometime soon. I'm not sure what I will earmark that for yet. This is another one. Cuddle Bums hand-dyed yarn. Twinkle Skies is the colorway, and it's a merino sparkle sock. I really love the Stellina and the pop of green in this. The black. It's going to be a beautiful variegated pair of socks. Again, I'm not sure what that will be set for, but it's definitely going to be a giveaway. This I'm going to pair with another skein of yarn a different dyer had given me a while back for the Lover's Box of Socks. So if you've been participating in that, thank you so much. It is such a joy to go into my Ravelry group and open up the Lover's Box of Socks thread and see all the love that y'all have poured into knitting your husbands, significant others, boyfriends, girlfriends, what have you, socks. So this is an Andre Sue Knits yarn when she was dyeing yarn called Twisted Tropics, and it's an 80%, 20% merino nylon, 400 yards. And I thought that would be perfect to knit yourself socks after knitting, man socks, or that's mostly what's been in my group, but I try to be inclusive because, you never know what somebody's significant other, what their gender is. I'm inclusive. But so that will be definitely, there will be a skein for you to knit your socks and then a skein for you to knit your husband's socks. And I already have that. I should have grabbed it, but it's in my room. These two, she also sent me 5 skeins of yarn, you guys. It was ridiculous. I got the package out of the mail and I'm like, I didn't order anything. What is this? But I'm keeping these for myself because as soon as I opened them, I was like, oh, these are mine. So this one is a Two Sisters Yarn Company self-striping yarn. It is Big Sky Base 75 superwash merino, 25% nylon, and it's called My Bloody Valentine. And there's 400 yards of self-striping goodness, and there's purples and grays and reds and pinks. I cannot wait to knit this. It's gorgeous. And then this one is Australia skein yarn, artisan yarn and fiber, which I have a skein of this to knit my husband's socks. I've started a pair of socks with it and then didn't like the pattern, so I ripped them out, and I still need to knit him a pair of top draw socks, which is an 85-15 superwash nylon, 437 yards in the colorway rose hip. But look how well these go together. I love them. So that is all of the yarn, all of the fabric, all of the acquisitions and bags and things that I've acquired. I have been reading quite a bit. I started the All Souls trilogy, which I originally heard about this from Jilly on the Knitting Broomstick podcast, and she gushes about it, and I read the first book in a week. The second one took me a little bit longer, and I'm on the third one now, and I'm about 3/4 of the way through. So the Book of Life is the last in the All Souls trilogy. A Discovery of Witches was the first, Shadow of Night was the second, and then this one. And there's a lot of romance in it that kind of just doesn't interest me, but the story as a whole, you know, it's witches and vampires and just mythological, and there's a lot of history that goes into it. So I've quite enjoyed the series, and I wanted to share in case that you wanted to read it, since it is, you know, fall, Halloween time. People are reading more now that it's fall. And yeah, so I'm going to take a peek at my notes. I told you all about the yarn, or the Maine trip. Tim also got me, he found it in the Boston airport, and I had mentioned a couple of weeks before he left about how one of my knitter friends had gotten a Boston Red Sox hat and how cool I thought it was because she's got socks on her hat. He found me one, you guys, because, you know, knitters need a Boston Red Sox hat to support their knitting habits. So he found this in the Boston airport as he was like leaving and brought it home for me. And I love baseball hats. I wear them a lot. One of my favorites is my REI baseball hat that I wear like constantly. But what else did I want to say? That's really all. Me and Prudence, when they went to Maine, we took a really nice day trip to the city. I took her to the aquarium. We went to Rainforest Cafe, which is just a really cool restaurant. If you don't know what it is, you should Google it because it's pretty awesome. And we went shopping at the mall for our new school outfits. So she had her own little special time with Mom while Atrella was having her special time with Dad. And both girls had a great summer. They're happy to be back at school. My oldest is so freaked out by gym class now because they have to get changed for gym. And for the first week, she was like, Mom, they just change in front of everyone. I go into the bathroom or the shower. And that was funny. And then every day she would come home and she says, tomorrow I will get dressed proper in gym. And I think a week went by and she was like, tomorrow. It will be tomorrow. For sure tomorrow. And then finally this week, she's like, I did it. I changed in front of everyone. I remember, you know, how uncomfortable it was to change in gym too. So it's just kind of funny that she's experiencing that and going through that now. And the little one is loving school for the most part. She doesn't really like waking up early. She's kind of like over it by the third day. The first day she like shot up, I'm ready for school. And then by the third she was like, oh, is it the weekend yet? But they're enjoying it, and I'm happy to have time to sort through all the moving stuff without them. But I'm rambling now. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Oh, one more thing I did want to say. My heart is so heavy right now with the events that are happening in South Texas. I've had a few people on my Instagram ask me where I am at in relation to Hurricane Harvey. I'm 700 or 800 miles from the coast. Texas is huge, you guys, huge. I am really far. We had a lot of heavy rain last week, but no flooding. I don't live in a floodplain area, but I have friends down in Houston. I have people that I know in the knitting world that live down there. Diane of Suburban Stitcher is someone that I see quite often at the fiber shows. I'm gonna start crying. Seriously, like all the pictures that people have been posting to Facebook, I've almost decided to take like a hiatus from being on because it's so heavy on my heart to see all this suffering that people are going through. So my heart goes out to anybody that is in that area, that is experiencing issues with their housing. I'm not. So I am safe. My family is safe. Thank you for being concerned and asking, but we are all good here. Definitely donate. A lot of the knitters in other areas are doing, discounts on their yarn, and all the proceeds are going to the Hurricane Harvey relief. So definitely take a part of that if you're aware of it. And I've been donating stuff to the school the girls go to. I've donated to the Red Cross because it's easy to do so on your phone. You just text something. But we're okay. We're okay, and thank you so much for your concern. I hope that you have enjoyed this podcast. I hope that you have lots of fun projects you're working on, and I can't wait to see you next time. Hopefully it'll only be 2 weeks. So we'll check you out next time. Bye.